listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. If it's post-apocalyptic, we're talking about it.
Hello and welcome to this week's Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Derek. I'm joined with Sean.
Hey, everyone.
And Stephanie.
Hello.
We have an action-packed week, but we're also mourning this week because two of our favorite shows have just gone into hiatus, and we're kind of in a drought right now. There's not a lot going on, but there is Walking Dead, and that's still going strong, and that will be for several more weeks. We have other stuff that is right on the horizon, but at this just very moment, it's an odd time because we've just had this flood of great post-apocalyptic TV shows and movies coming out, and it's kind of slowed to a trickle. But at the end of the show, we will be talking about the latest Snowpiercer episode, and we will be talking about the latest Attack on Titan episode, which ended those seasons, not series. And I guess that's the first big announcement, is that those series are not ended quite yet. So we'll start with Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer's for sure coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they're already working on it.
Yeah.
All right. So we still got Sean Bean on board, or are we going to get a lookalike that costs less? What's going on with that?
I mean, you can't replace Sean Bean. That's just, I don't know. I have a prediction that he's going to die because he dies in every one of his, everything. He dies in everything. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yes. Or maybe he's already dead because we're not giving away spoilers here at the top of the show.
Yes, that's also a possibility.
Attack on Titan for sure coming back.
Yes. Woohoo! I'm so excited. I can't even begin to tell you. I felt so sad thinking that the anime was over, but it's not. It's coming back in winter 2022, which according to the anime schedule in Japan, that means that it might be coming back as early as December 2021, but probably January/February. So that's the early part of 2022, not the late part.
What? Okay, that's confusing. That's a big difference. That's a 12-month difference.
Yeah.
Just if you say, anyways. Okay. So, but that's good. That's good. It ended on a extreme cliffhanger.
Oh my gosh.
Unlike a lot of animes, Attack on Titan likes to space out the action, and so it's like it'll spend 4 episodes building up to a single battle, and then that battle will take place in one episode. And this season, it's followed kind of that same thing, and it kind of ended it. No spoilers tease at the front of the show. Remember, Derek. Hey, announcements. We got a Discord server, y'all. If you aren't familiar with that, it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing to learn. So get in there, learn Discord, get in our Discord. You'll see links to get into our Discord on our website, postapocalyptic.com. So go to that website. You'll see in the right sidebar, join us on Discord. It couldn't be bigger. You click that button, you join our server, and you're in, and you can join. We have probably 24 rooms right now where you just jump in. If you want to say something about a PC game, we've got a room for that. You want to say something about the book you just read, we got a room for that. So make sure, and if you're lazy, you don't want to put it in a room, just go to public chat. Nobody's going to ticket you for misbehavior or something in the...
True.
Let's see what else. Oh, we moved servers. We were having crashing problems with our old server, so we moved to a different server, and now we're having crashing problems on the different server.
A totally different kind, though. So
different kind.
The website on the old server. On the old server, the website was going down completely for like hours. This time, it's like some minor issues. So like we're working on getting them fixed. But if you ever come to any article on our website in the meantime and you see some error 520 that shows up, just hit refresh.
Hit that refresh button, y'all.
Yeah. It'll be, because it doesn't mean it's completely down. It's just an error that happened when we migrated over, and we're working on fixing it.
And it's important to note that the reason that you switched servers is because the traffic was so high, right?
Yes.
I mean, you had to upgrade. So that's a good problem to have.
That is such a good point, Sean. I'm really glad you mentioned that. Because, we were just having huge amounts of traffic, and the old server couldn't handle it and was just crashing. So, yeah, you're right. That's a good problem to have.
That is, we're pretty popular, I guess you could say.
We're kind of a big deal.
Yes.
What about Walking Dead? Are we going to be talking about that today? The answer is no. I knew the answer to that question. That was rhetorical. No, we're not going to be talking about it. And the reason is because Stephanie and I just haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it yet, Sean?
Yeah.
He came prepared, and we did not.
I came prepared.
So shame on us.
Sean, can you tell us, is the next episode going to be the Negan-focused one?
That's what I hear. Yeah, is it Where's Negan or Here's Negan? Something like that. Yeah.
I'm really excited about that one. So, okay.
Yeah.
Make sure I watch that on a timely manner.
It's not a spoiler to say that they've been teasing that, like, his dead wife is actually not dead.
I don't
I'm
know
already
if it's
against that whole idea.
I don't know if I don't know. I thought it was just going to be flashbacks. So I don't know if she's just coming back in the form of flashbacks or if she's actually not dead. I'm not sure, but we'll see her. We'll learn about her.
In the comics, she is dead, and he visits her grave and everything. And it's actually called the same thing. It's called Here's Negan, that comic series. So... yeah, so I don't know how they're going to do it. If they're going to, like you said, flashbacks, or if she, I can't imagine how she'd still be alive because he described her death and everything. So
that's such a good point.
I don't know. It's weird.
That is such a good point.
Wait, he described her death?
Yeah, because she turned, and he described all that in a previous episode. So he, and even in the comic books, he described that too. And so I don't know.
Oh wow, she was faking the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, how do you...
Well, the show has diverged a bit from the comics.
Yeah.
Rick.
It's going to be a Bill Murray in Zombieland kind of a plot where she's like, oh, I'm turned. Bye, Negan. I don't want to see you anymore. Yeah. Okay, what else is going on? Biomutant. A lot of people are waiting for Biomutant because they announced it like 7 years ago and just like continue to tell us that it's going to be great. Well, now you can see for yourself because they have like an hour of gameplay footage that they've released. I tell you, I have a little mixed feelings about that gameplay footage. I'll let you be the decider on that because they had this like really ambitious vision where you're like constantly evolving different aspects of yourself to deal with the environments around you, and I'm not sure if they landed that and brought it home. Sean, did you watch any of that footage?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know. I think it seems like a really cool. It's a gorgeous game. It's a quirky game. Kind of animals. What do you call that? Like humanistic animals.
Anthropomorphic.
Yes, that's the word I was thinking of. And so, I mean, it looks cool. It looks kind of cartoony. I don't mind playing games like that at all, but I don't know. We'll see,
So this isn't one that's coming out on Switch, right? I just tried to Google that and I didn't see. Is this a non-Switch game? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if Google doesn't know, I'm not going to know.
Yeah.
I just remember there's like something coming out with gameplay very similar to Breath of the Wild that I was super interested in.
You're thinking about Phoenix Rising, I think? Something like that? Something with the word Phoenix in it.
Breath of the Wild is post-apocalyptic, by the way, so any and all mentions are relevant.
We just don't talk about it because it's boring.
No, it is so much fun. I purposefully not finished the game because it is fun, and I'm going to be sad when it's over. And Derek's looking at me like that's not true. Yes, there are parts of the game that are also hard for me because I get motion sick.
Okay, yeah,
But
it would be true if you were like continuing to play the game and not finishing it. But that's not what's happening.
I like being able to pick it back up every now and then and just kind of play.
Okay.
Very post-apocalyptic, though.
She's
very
avoiding
much
the
so.
challenge of the end, not the disappointment of it being over. By the way, to set the record straight. For Biden, for Forbidden
Biden.
West. And then the
And we
podcast
go
took a very
political.
different turn.
That's a whole different game.
Horizon for Biden West. That actually makes sense as a game title.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
An
know if I wanna
amazing
play
game
it.
would be, like the politicians in a post-apocalyptic landscape. Who would survive? Yes. Okay, that'd be cool. Anyway.
I'm not touching that.
I think it would be fun.
We've already got Derek Says Something Controversial queued up for later in this podcast if there's time allowing. I know I teased that 2 podcasts ago and it hasn't really happened, although I probably manage to offend somebody every podcast. Console was okay so Horizon Forbidden West, still no release date. I was under the impression that it was already out, so I don't know why that happened. But
Well, there is. I think it's the first one is out, but I can't. It's some combination of Forbidden Horizon West. It's like it's a different combination of those
down.
words, and that's the first one. This is like the second one.
okay, so it was like DLC kind of for the original game.
Or a sequel. Like I don't even know if it's a full sequel. I'm not sure, but
This is
something
when
like
we
that.
need Val to be.
Yeah, I know. She's
Yeah,
gonna
we-
edit this and be like, "You idiots."
Yeah, that's so true. Val, feel free, to edit a quick clip of yourself in here correcting us.
I want to see
That'd
it.
be fun.
Yeah, so we don't have a release date for Forbidden West even yet, but they're saying end of this year, 3rd or 4th quarter, 2021. Consoles, you know what? They released a next generation of console 4 months ago, and still to this day you can't go into the store and buy one.
PS5.
How insane is that?
Yeah.
PS5, yeah. I search it probably every other day, looking online, just looking for a PS5 to buy, and no, they're not there. But like at some point you got to ask, if you're already going to pay $600, $700 for 600, I guess is the top. If you're already paying that much for the console, is it really that bad to give a scalper $150 or something to get it for you? I mean, it really depends on how much your time is worth.
I was going to say, but aren't they usually charging a lot more? At least at the beginning, they were charging a lot more than that. Like, I was seeing like 900, 1,000.
I can just say in a big city like Austin, you can get it for a lot less. Usually you're paying them $150 for the pleasure of standing in the lines and clicking their bots or whatever they do to get those. But yeah, I still haven't played The Last of Us 2 or 1, but The Last of Us 2 is high on my list of things to play. Still haven't played it because they won't give me a PlayStation. Just give me a PlayStation. I'm willing to give you lots of money for it. Disco Elysium. I wanted to bring this up because, by the way, have you played Disco Elysium, Sean? I know Stephanie
Nope.
hasn't. Okay, so none of us have played this game. However, IGN, it came out in 2019. IGN gave it a 9.6 out of 10. And not only
Wow.
IGN, but I've heard rave reviews about this RPG. It's a deep RPG. And I wasn't quite sure whether it was post-apocalyptic, but the more I looked into it, the more I realized this is a setting where you're supposed to be wondering if it's post-apocalyptic or not. And they kind of leave that as a mystery in the game. So I figured I should bring it up. They just released the remastered version of Disco Elysium, and it was a 9.6 on IGN. The same guy reviewed it this time, said they fixed everything that I had to complain about. They took every line of dialogue and they gave it to voice actors. So they improved the game immensely, and he said now it's a 10.
Wow. 10.
It looks wonderful. If you're at all interested in deep RPG mechanics, you don't mind reading dialogue on the screen and picking choices, stuff like that, check out Disco Elysium. It really looks great. It's certainly on my list of games to play. Moving on to different things. Maximum Apocalypse is a board game that one of the people in our Discord suggested. Strontium Dog, thank you for suggesting that game, because Stephanie and I bought that and we've played it and we love it. It's a post-apocalyptic game where it's not just one post-apocalypse. You can play different scenarios depending on which is your favorite flavor. You got zombies, mutants, you got a alien invasion apocalypse, and I think some others. I think there's a nuclear apocalypse. There's a lot. And we've only played it a little bit, but we're already really loving it. So if you're itching for a new spin on the board game, I don't know if it's a new spin. I'm not a board game nerd enough to know if it's really innovative or not, but it's fun.
It is so much fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. We did the shorter tutorial, and I'm ready. And hopefully this weekend, we'll get in and or sooner. We'll do one of the longer ones because it's exciting. It is a lot of fun. And there's a character card in there that I pretended was Sasha from Attack on Titan because it is just like her, and that added to the fun. So there you go.
We need to announce Apocalypse Junction.
Oh
yeah.
Yes.
That's brand new. We are okay. So for a little intro on this, we have been struggling with Facebook for a little while because Facebook is very they hide the best way, I guess, to build a community on there. Sometimes it's not real straightforward, but what we want is for a place for people to gather and be able to discuss specific TV shows and stuff. So what we're doing is we're creating these separate groups because we don't want it all in one group where everybody's trying to compete for that attention with their different shows. So we split it up into different shows. So if you are a big Snowpiercer fan, we have a group where everybody's just talking about Snowpiercer in there. If you're a big Attack on Titan fan, we got that group. If you want to talk about live in-person events and cosplay and LARP, that's a group. So we're trying to create a resource where people can have a community, can go there easily. We know you're all on Facebook. And that's what Apocalypse Junction is, like the glue that holds all these groups together. And we can have announcements in that and talk about what other groups are spinning off of Apocalypse Junction. But we all come together as a group to advocate, I guess, for post-apocalyptic issues. Mm-hmm. So anyways, check that out on Facebook. Apocalypse Junction is the hub. And from there, you'll be able to find out all of our other groups. We have like 6 right now. And they're private groups, so you can go on there. You can use adult language if you want to. Feel comfortable talking about the show. And, we talk about dark shows. I mean, we talked on this podcast about Wilford executing a bunch of scientists to make room for jackboots and whether that was ethically responsible. I don't think that that's always good for the younger audiences to be a part of those conversations.
True.
So, Apocalypse Junction, check that out on Facebook. Last Oasis is a game that just came out. It's post-apocalyptic, or at least it looks really post-apocalyptic. I haven't got into it yet, but I will because it's free. It's free right now. There's a beta.
Nice.
I guess I shouldn't call it beta. They call it a demo. So I'll use their term. It's a demo. And I don't know what the limitations of the demo are because I haven't played it yet. But I've downloaded it to my Xbox, which was free. I'm going to play it and get back to you. And I'll be better at this than I was at getting back to you on World War Z gameplay, which I haven't done yet. Apologies. The crypto market's been drawing me in. It's just been pulling my attention. And
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And this
Ethereum through the
Oasis
moon.
game has no connection at all to the Oasis one season Amazon series we watched that was semi-apocalyptic. You remember that, Derek? It had a guy from Game of Thrones on it. Anyway,
tell me
there
more
was,
about it.
I think it was called Oasis. It's kind of hard to tell more without any. It's been several years, like probably 4 or 5 years, and I kept hoping Amazon would renew it, and they never did. They were on a spaceship because the Earth was dying, and it was about their life on this galactic spaceship, and it had like a verdant greenfield land and stuff. Anyway, for the random 2 people out there listening who may have actually seen that show too, this game is not related.
Or is it?
You got your obscure facts from Stephanie. Or is it?
Okay. Well, we have come to the part of the show where I give some warnings. Because from here, we're going to talk about, we're going to do the Derek Says Something Controversial. We're actually going to do it this time. So that's going to happen. And then we are going to talk about Attack on Titan. And then we're going to finish up with some talk about Snowpiercer. And Attack on Titan and Snowpiercer, we're going to be talking about spoilers. There's no 2 ways about it. So just giving you all that kind of a warning so that you'll know what's coming up in this podcast. By the way, we are next week going to attempt to do this in a live fashion. Now, we haven't worked out all the details, but it looks like what we're going to do is we're going to stream this to Twitch. So you'll be able to see it on Twitch. Sean will be watching the chat on Twitch. I'll be watching the chat on Discord. So people can interact with us if you want to. But one word about that is that we don't record this on the same day that we push it out because we have to edit it, make sure we do all the things that we do in editing. I don't know. I don't edit it. But so anyways, we release this on Fridays. We actually record on Tuesdays. So we're going to try to give everybody fair warning. If you want to come hang out with us, we'd love that. We'd love to hear your opinions on what we're saying. We'll put it on the podcast. We'll talk about it. Or not. Yeah. Or not if we decide that it's too controversial, I guess. Sean, were you going to say something?
Well, I think that'll be fun where we can, where people can watch us and kind of interact with us live, more of like a talk show setting. And they can ask us questions and things like that. So that'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central next Tuesday, right? We could stick to that schedule. Okay.
Yeah. Did you say Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, he said Tuesday.
Okay. 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday.
Yeah. And we'll put something on our Discord about it to remind people and let people know. But I think that'll be fun. I think it'd be maybe we could do it every time. I don't know.
Yeah, if it goes well, sure. I mean, that would be entertaining, let people comment live and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so now that we've got those introductions out of the way, let me say something controversial. It shouldn't be. I try not to be controversial on purpose. And definitely not going to make this political because nobody knows my politics. My close friends don't really know my politics. And sometimes they think they do. And it's kind of hard because we're always moving and evolving if we're open-minded people. And that can be uncomfortable to the people you know. It's uncomfortable to me when other people change and I don't know it. And, you think you know somebody, right? And they change, you change. It's an uncomfortable thing, but part of the joy of life, in my opinion, is learning and working out hard problems with your head and with your experience, and figuring out how to make it all better. So, all that to say, if you disagree with me completely, that's okay. You know what? I'm just one dude with one opinion. So you can write it off. You can engage with me. I'm not going to hate you if you disagree with me, and I hope you don't hate me for having opinions that you might not like. But I'm going to put them out there because, for one, I'm a prepper, and preppers think about all sorts of contingencies and things that might happen and what they might need, and prepare for that. So, without further ado, I want to do some reflection here on this topic. What I'm going to talk about is self-defense. Just the whole, the general philosophy behind that is, one thing I do when I'm prepping is I think about somebody from like 300, 400, 500 years ago looking at me, and I think about how sad would it be if I were to starve to death because I don't have the skills that my ancestors had. And so I think about like this old guy like looking at me going, "You're weak. The modern society has made you soft. You don't even know how to trap a rabbit or something," thinking, because that's the things that they did to make sure they survived and passed on their genetic information to make me possible. And that was considered important to them. And so no matter what, your ancestors would look at you and call you weak. I just want to say that up front. No matter how hard you are, they're going to be like, "You had time to listen to a song. What are you wasting your time for? You should be doing work to provide." In their world, they were much closer to oblivion. What are you going to say, Steph?
I was just going to say, I don't even have to look that far back. I figure my grandparents, who owned a farm and were farmers, would be aghast at how hard it is for me to garden, my dad was a great gardener too. And oh my gosh, I try to grow potatoes and they turn out the size of my thumb. Just my grandparents probably would be shaking their heads at me.
Yeah, but hand him an iPad and see what he can do with it. So it's a trade-off,
But as far as survival skills,
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh, they would totally have me beat.
Yeah.
But yes, they would know how to do an iPad, I'm sure.
That's so that's something I think about a lot. I just reflect on my ancestors, and I don't know hardly any of them. I don't know people past like 2 generations ago, basically. But you can make some assumptions. If you are a human being on this earth right now, here are a few assumptions that maybe you could just put into your mind when you're trying to think of your ancestors. First of all, they probably weren't wealthy. Almost all people in the history of the world have not been wealthy. And so most likely your ancestors weren't really wealthy. And what does that mean? It means they were probably farmers. We were agrarian, I guess they say, species for a long time of human history recently. So you can imagine that they, there's hunter-gatherers and stuff, but for a majority of this time recently, they were farmers. And so you're thinking about poor people who grow food on their own land and eat that food. That's the majority of our ancestors. And some other things you can assume about that is they were probably malnourished, probably weren't real like warrior types when they weren't at war, but they were probably, many of them were conscripted into military service because they didn't have the ability to resist the local warlord when he came by and said, "I need all of your fighting age males to come with me." So these are just some things to kind of ponder on. What I think about is how how many of those ancestors of mine had to kill. They probably did. Probably many of them had to do it. You don't know. You don't have yellow alert or whatever they call it, when something dangerous is happening in your neighborhood. They don't have something like that. It's just all of a sudden someone in the woods is running at you with a weapon and you're like, holy crap, there's people here and they want me dead. That's the reality that our ancestors lived in. There's even 2,000 years ago, Jesus is telling a story, and he talks about how, some people were traveling from this big city to this big city, and they got attacked on the road on the way. And that was just like something everybody could relate to, because highwaymen, people who just waited until, you had to go to sleep sometime, and so you make camp on the side of the road, and they come in and attack you and take your stuff. That's how they make their food for the week. So like that was something they had to mitigate. They had to be prepared. If I'm going to travel from here to here, we need weapons, and we need to have somebody who stays up all night, even though they don't want to, and they're tired as the rest of us. They have to stay up all night and look out into the darkness and wake us all up if they think something's coming.
Yeah.
This was just their reality for a long time. And let me tell you, there were a lot of people who didn't have martial training at all and who didn't have weapons. And, some of them did survive to pass on their genetic material, and some of them did not, because they weren't prepared to defend themselves. And that part right there makes me think about, then I have, like I said, I have this old 500-year-old ancestor peering over my shoulder going, Derek, are you really ready to defend yourself? Because people are the same. We have more police now. We have more, we have great military. We're definitely not going to have the Mongolians, pouring over the horizon without us knowing. So we do have a safer world in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it's the same. You can be attacked by a criminal at any old point in time, and you don't necessarily get any warning. You don't see it coming. There's a saying that when every second counts, the police are minutes away. And basically what that means is, in the heat of the moment, it doesn't matter if you call the police instantly. They need time. They've got to drive on those roads. They've got to make it over to you. And in that time, a lot can happen. So I think that it's just a responsibility of us as humans to be ready to defend ourselves and to defend the people we love. And so, if you went back to your ancestor and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I have this sharpened rock. But if that's in the era of bows and arrows, you'd be like, well, dude, you need to have the better weapon. Like you wouldn't. And if they said, no, that's too dangerous. And the king doesn't like people to have bows and arrows. You'd be like, well, of course the king doesn't like you to have bows and arrows. He's the king. He doesn't want people. He only wants his military to be the strongest in the area. But bringing that all to modern day, the best weaponry that you can get right now as a civilian is a gun. And a gun is, just a device that throws metal really fast and hard in any direction. It is a extremely destructive piece of equipment, and it can look really innocent enough. Like, a little tiny handgun doesn't look terrible, but it will blow someone's head off. It will kill someone in an instant. That's the best weaponry we have today. So, my feeling is that if you are behind the other guy when it comes to the technology of the time, then you might lose. Deterrence is an important aspect of being able to defend yourself. I used to have a camera that wasn't hooked up to anything, but it had batteries in it. And I just put a battery and the camera would look around on my doorstep at all times. And, and that's a deterrent. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's hooked into something, but people see that and they go, you know what? It'd be easier for me to rob the next house over. When it comes to self-defense, I think it's a lot like that.
Yeah.
There are most people in this world, this applies to the ancient world, this applies to now. Most people are good. Most people are not violent people, and they are reasonable, and they're not looking to hurt you. But there are people with sociopathic personalities. And those people cannot really be predicted very well. You can't always reason with them. And a lot of times the only thing they really recognize is their own self-interest. And that is what deterrence does, is it makes it in their self-interest to not mess with you. And so that's one reason why I really I advocate for very responsible ownership of modern weaponry by adults who can handle that. So there's an old saying: speak softly and carry a big stick, and you will go far, is how it ends. And they say that came from Africa, and that's very old. I heard Theodore Roosevelt saying that a lot, one of the presidents of America. And the philosophy, I don't think that Theodore Roosevelt did it quite right, because he was messing with people. I don't think that philosophy means you go mess with people. It just means, because speak softly means you're not pushing your will on anybody else. You're not messing with them. You're not threatening them. You speak softly. You be kind, and don't try to control anybody else. But you carry a big stick, which it would be like the weapon of the time. Whatever it is that is the weapon of the time, you have that and you carry that. So and I think, and this is really controversial, I think the same thing about nukes. The fact is that no nation that has nukes has ever been invaded by another nuclear nation. It's not happened. Even though India and Pakistan at times really, really didn't like each other and really wanted to fight it out, but they both had nukes. And I think that that's kept them from getting to that point. That is a deterrence. And so, these countries that have nukes, I'm not advocating for them to get rid of them. That's a controversial position. But the fact is, if I could uninvent nukes, I would absolutely do it. I would, because that could end our world, the misuse of them. But and if I could uninvent guns, I might do that as well. But since nukes exist, I think that my country is good to have them. And since guns exist, I think that individuals, the good ones, should have them as well and be ready to defend themselves.
That makes sense. And if you don't mind me saying, I would just, want to share that it's also, in addition to being ready to defend yourself, just watch out for your neighbors too. You went, a few nights ago, we heard yelling outside. It sounded like someone was in distress, and Derek went outside and tried to see if he could help. And unfortunately, the person was gone. We ended up talking to the police and blah, blah, blah. But I really admired you, Derek, for going out there, for wanting to help someone that you thought was in need, that sounded like they were in distress. And so I think, you practice what you preach there, and we need to do more of that. We need to watch out for our neighbors too. And if, help defend them if it sounds like they are in need.
I didn't run this speech by either of the other two podcast hosts.
I didn't know what was coming.
So make no assumptions about how they feel, because I didn't how it is. But just because somebody's not saying they disagree or agree doesn't mean anything. I won't put words into anybody's mouth, I guess is all I want to say about that. All right. Well, I hope that was controversial enough. I hope that gets me on Twitter, get blasted or something. Hopefully it doesn't get us taken down from YouTube. I don't think so, but we'll see.
I mean, who knows these days? I don't know.
I said the magic word. Okay, so, all right. So if you made it past that, you've earned some good old-fashioned spoilers from
Woohoo!
Snowpiercer and Attack on Titan. So let's let's very quickly discuss Attack on Titan. It's over until okay. We're in the final season, right?
Yes, we are in the final season. In fact, the manga, I've heard some people pronounce it manga, but I mispronounce everything. Upon which it is based is finishing up in April. The last chapter will be published in April, and the author has actually already finished it. And there was a big celebration about it on social media a couple days ago. So the anime itself just has those last 20 or so chapters to adapt. And that is going to happen in the winter 2022, early 2022, most likely.
All right. And if you want to just get ahead and just start the manga from right where the series left off, how am I going to find out which manga to read?
Well, we have an article. We have an article up on our website. If you just do a search for, go to the Attack on Titan tag or search for manga on there, you will see it. We spell out what chapter it begins, what some of the major chapters are that have major points that happen during the anime in case you want to go back a little bit and kind of catch up. And it also talks about, we've got some links on there for where you can buy the mangas. There are some chapters that are being posted digitally as they're released online. And there are also print editions. The one I love is the Colossal edition that Derek found and bought for me because it's like super big and it's a lot of fun to read. It's a little bit behind. So I heard like the next book is coming out maybe, or the last one might be in September. So it's a little behind the smaller editions, but that's my personal favorite.
I couldn't find Colossal editions for like most of the mangas. It looks like
Really?
only like the first, I don't know, 50 or so. So
I saw listings on Amazon for 5 books, but that might be just the first 50. I don't know how many chapters are in a book. That's an interesting question. Might be farther behind than I realized.
But there is a free place to read the mangas online, correct?
There may be. I am not aware. I do know
Like a
that
legal way. Of course there's an illegal way to do it. But
if you have a premium subscription to Crunchyroll, I know that you can read them online, but that's not free. So
okay.
I'm not aware of free.
But if you have a premium subscription to Crunchyroll, you
Yes.
can read the entire manga?
Yes, they have the newest ones on there. They're updating it.
Well, there you go. That's the cheapest way. Don't spend
Probably
$50
is.
on a book if you don't have to. But
Yeah,
we do.
that's true.
We're buying
the
books.
Colossals are expensive.
Yeah, the Colossal editions are expensive, or you can buy them one at a time for $10, but there's like 130 of them. So, you do the math. Okay.
That's so true. Yeah, Crunchyroll probably is your best bet.
Yeah, unless you're a real Attack on Titan enthusiast, which you probably are if you're listening to this. Okay, so we're going to move on from Attack on Titan because holy crap. What in the world did Snowpiercer do? I'm so upset.
Snowpiercer.
I'm so upset with Snowpiercer right now. I'm gonna sit on my feelings for a second and let you guys banter.
I'm not that upset because I have hope that, okay, so the big thing, of course, is that they're trying to make us think that Melanie is dead. They didn't convince me because you don't see a body. Now, of course, everything they said about her being dead. Okay, so she said that she ran out of food. Mm-hmm. She wrote a note to Alex. Alex found the note. They went back to the research center to find her. And she found a note from Melanie, and she basically... Okay, so in a previous episode, we saw where she found a geothermal vent, and it had rats all over. So we're like, oh, there's hope. She'll be able to eat the rats. She'll be able to stay warm without electricity. Well, she said in the note that she ate all the rats, and she used the geothermal thermal vent to heat the hard drives with all the information, with all the research she found, so that they could continue the research. And she basically sacrificed herself for the research, which she said she was going to do anyway. She said if it comes down to it, she'll do that. But where's her body? where did she go? Now, one might argue if she left the research facility at all, there's no hope for her. Maybe there's a place further down in the vent where maybe she found caves and she went further down somewhere, and she's down there. I don't know, but I don't think she's dead. Mainly because I just can't accept that. I think
Mainly because I'm in the denial stage of grief.
Yeah, that's
and it seems like the rule is if you don't see the body, right? I mean, Wilford, we were told he was dead, but we never saw his body, and then he came back. So at least there's some precedent on this show for if you don't see the body.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do that same thing where Wilford's going to be telling everyone Melanie's dead, and then it's going to be this crazy twist of plot where now she's going to come forward and say maybe that was all along what they wanted. I don't know, but
maybe
it's a big thing.
Maybe
that people
Melanie
are going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's a big thing, and they didn't show her, and I'm sure that if they had shown her and they showed her dead, then we wouldn't be debating this right now. So strategically, man, I mean, they seem to have killed Icy Bob, but he didn't die on screen either.
Yeah.
He kind of got close to dying on screen, though, didn't he? Like, they dragged him in.
Yeah. Well, there was an interview with the executive producer, and she brought up a good point. The interviewer was trying to get it out of her, is Melanie dead? Is she? And it was funny because the interviewer was talking about season 3, and they said, so filming has been going well, season 3? She said, yes. She said, is Jennifer Connelly there? And she said, I'm not telling you that. So she tried to get it out of her. But the executive producer brought up a good point and said, Jon Snow, we saw Jon Snow's body in Game of Thrones, and he came back.
Oh, they said that.
So,
that's interesting. Like, I saw a different interview with the executive producer who was cagey but in a different way, and was just like, Melanie will be a big part of season 3, whatever that means.
Oh, yeah.
That could mean flashbacks. That could mean people talking about Melanie.
Sounds like a spoiler. Sounds like they let the cat out of the bag that Melanie is. But yeah, I guess it could be flashbacks.
Know. Yeah. Because it could be flashbacks. That's the thing.
I just wonder if they do flashbacks, is that going to be enough to, satiate the the Melanie crowd, the Team Melanie crowd, that want to see Jennifer Connelly in all of these, in episodes? Because when I do the article every week, I look at Twitter and I go through all the latest Snowpiercer stuff, and I try to pick out some good ones to put in the article. And there are so many groups out there that are dedicated to Melanie. So many people are on her side. Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. And so after this last one, it's tons of people saying, I'm never watching the show again. Oh I'm done with the show. So, would it be enough to bring her back in flashbacks for the entire season 3? I don't know. That's
a really good point. Yeah. Considering the type of fandom that she has, it seems like it wouldn't be enough, right? Flashbacks wouldn't be enough.
Well, I've also been trying to work out in my head, like, how does Melanie get back to the train in this case? Now, Snowpiercer does have no problem with time jumps. They've done several of them in these last few episodes. So it could be that she waits till it goes all the way around and comes back to her
next time.
I thought about, like, what if she's like hanging from like one of those weather balloons that they send up and like floats into the train.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be a tough one. But like, now that Wonka Piercer has been essentially confirmed, maybe she found that elevator, that special elevator that like can fly through the air, and she'll just like bring it to the train.
Yeah.
I mean, Wonka Piercer just like, oh my gosh, we screamed at that part when it started.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Talk about fan service. Okay, so we have Willy's World, which is like this children's room that they've never gone into for some reason. And they have like cotton candy. They have candy in there for kids. And then Wilford comes out with a top hat and a cane. Exactly what Willy Wonka wore. Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
Yeah. It was even kind of a purple hue too, like his suit.
Such a good point. Not to mention the golden tickets. For a
The
special
golden
dinner.
tickets everywhere.
true.
Golden tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is that? Does that mean he's like a descendant?
That he's Charlie or Charlie's son. I don't know.
Man.
Would Charlie have picked somebody so screwed up in the head to...
Man, I loved that. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was exciting. Now let's gosh, there was so much tension in this last episode. They had that place setting, and it was for what's her name and Ruth. I've really grown to like Ruth. But let me ask you about this about Wilford's right hand man now, which is the prostitute woman, the
Audrey.
Do we hate her, or do we see her as more of a victim of Wilford's brainwashing, Stockholm syndrome?
I think it seemed like in this last episode she was kind of telling, I think it was Zara, she's like, hey, don't jump to conclusions that I'm completely on his side, just let me go through this. And it was almost like a hint that she has a plan, behind the scenes. That's the way I took it. And so it gives you hope for her, but at the same time, it better be a good one, because she's really,
Yeah.
she's stepping on a lot of toes to be on
Yeah, she
Wilford's
is.
side. So
Yeah, she's digging in deep, so it better be a good reason.
yeah.
I thought that they and speaking of that, having a good reason to support Wilford, I thought this episode really brought home that dichotomy, because we discover that because of Wilford's style, I guess you could say, they've had a medical breakthrough that could save humanity.
Yeah.
So what's her name can essentially just go outside like normal, even if it is super cold. Now, do we trust Wilford as a steward of that technology to,
Yeah.
he sacrificed Icy Bob for nothing. Oh, go ahead.
It's very like Hitler. I know I can't say that now. We're going to be banned on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's very Hitler. Well,
Thanks, Sean.
Hitler, he had all these the scientific, and we talked about this last episode too, which is funny. He had all this scientific, this team of scientists that had all these breakthroughs, and then, like you said, can you trust him with that? No,
Yep.
it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, they've really made that kind of a parallel apparent here, and man, they did it in such a way that it's good. It's like, gosh, if they could really change the physiology of humans to be able to survive in this world, that's game. That's huge. But then you have this narcissist in charge of it all who really doesn't want people to move on from the train. He wants to keep everybody there, and that's part of why he's been so intent on sabotaging Melanie's efforts, I think, because he doesn't actually care about progressing from where they're at right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he wants to keep his world small and controllable. He doesn't want everybody going off the train and making their own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because he said, they were like, we don't want to use her as a weapon. And he's like, then why did we make her in the first place if I can't use her?
So small-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, because that could help save all of humanity. I mean...
Gosh, man, Melanie's daughter, holy crap. I feel like as soon as that puppet show was over, she should have been plotting immediately the next chance she gets to kill Wilford, because come on, he just showed you a puppet show where he celebrated your mom dying. Holy crap.
And basically
dark.
called her a baby.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
right.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So dark.
That was
Yeah.
a rough little segment of the story, and then having that dinner where everybody has to come, and what's his thing? He's really into order and punishing crime severely, and yet also he probably sees a little of himself in this LJ, what's her name?
Oh yeah, okay.
LJ. Yeah.
Is she going to survive?
My least favorite character on this whole show. I do not like her. And
Really?
that's like when Alex and LJ were kind of hanging out on that one episode a couple back, and everyone was like, "What? No," and they never pursued that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I don't know what they had planned with that, but I think maybe they listened to. They shoot all the, the episodes in advance, but I don't know. It was kind of a scary thing to see them together. But LJ, man, she is just. But she's a lot like her parents. You remember her parents, like early on, they were just butt kissers. Well, her mom was, but Alex, I think I can relate a lot to Alex as far as, being a person who, like, I can't keep my mouth shut, if I had to. and I think if it came down to that point where I was in that situation, I would probably say the same thing to him. And she just went for it. And, the fact that he kind of let her get away with it a little bit more because he kind of raised her and everything. But I think he raised her as a pawn anyway. So it wasn't really he wasn't that emotionally attached to her. And it kind of shows the whole blood is thicker than water thing. And she, it's no surprise that she is rooting for her mom and trying to find her mom and everything. When I saw the part where she was at the research center and she read the note and said that her mom was dead and everything, I said, well, I didn't think about this before, but I always thought they were going to join forces, but maybe Alex is going to be the next Melanie. She's going to take over that role in season 3. I don't know.
And she'll eject Wilford from the train like her mom did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another possibility.
I had to think what could Alex have done? Because she was still pretty obedient to Wilford, even when he was being so mean to her mom. And I'm like, I guess the only thing that he would have accepted is a total sycophant. If she would have been laughing along with him at her mom's demise and rooting for her mom's demise, that's the only thing he would have accepted from her. And so when she didn't go along with that, and you try to get into the mind of a twisted psychopath like Wilford. It's like he probably this whole time was just raising her as a way to get back at his enemy. And so it really didn't matter if she was on his side or not. He was going to torture her in a way and use her as a way to punish Melanie.
Yeah.
Gosh, it is such a good story. And, it led us through these questions of whether Melanie did the right thing and what was her motives. And then Alex ends up being the cause of her own demise. Like, she refused to go with the people that Melanie sent, so Melanie wasn't even at fault at all in that situation. But you can also kind of understand from the perspective of a teenage girl. I guess she wasn't even teenage at that time, but of a child who is getting this affirmation from this authority figure that her mom's a bad guy and it was her fault and stuff. I've really enjoyed the series. I'm so glad that it's been renewed for a 3rd season.
Me too. Can't imagine with that cliffhanger and if it wasn't renewed. Be so tough. Like ready for season 3 already.
Why did he put? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just waiting for wondering if there's going to be spin-offs. If we go through season 3 and they make it to habitable Earth, are there going to be, spin-offs where people are surviving in different locations? I don't know. I don't know if that would have the same appeal, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have the same appeal, but I think it would be fun. It would be fun to have a Snowpiercer continuation where there are some people who still choose to live on the train because we don't know what's going to happen, right? But then we also have this spin-off of people surviving on the ground. I would watch it.
That's right. You hear that? TNT? Who does Snowpiercer nowadays?
TNT, yeah.
TNT.
Hear that? TNT. We want a spin-off. We want Frozen Earth survivors out there.
Yes.
You can mix it up. You can have war boys trying to board the plane or some train as it goes by and steal their resources. It could be a whole thing.
Yes,
But bravo for bringing this to TV. You spent the money. You got Jennifer Connelly and Sean Bean and all the other famous ones that you put in this show, and you made it right. And it's paying off. As far as I understand, it is well received. People are watching it like us and talking about it and enjoying it. So I'm happy that's going on. We need for more shows to come out right now. Westworld, I don't even think we have a date on that. We got Van Helsing coming soon. So
We've
that's
got
good.
Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, Handmaid's
yeah.
Tale. Yes. Gosh.
That is going to be intense.
What I'm really hoping that Handmaid's Tale brings the geopolitical scene to the forefront instead of just the Handmaid's Rebellion scene, because it's all there and it's all they're progressing that story a little bit, but it's still really fuzzy as to what's going on in the world. All right. Well, we have reached the end of our podcast. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. You guys are the MVPs. I want to assure you, Derek says something controversial is not a weekly segment, but it will happen upon from time to time. So thank you for tolerating that. And I hope you all stay safe. Be prepared for disasters. And join us on Discord and chat with us about TV shows, books, movies, prepping. And as always be ready for the big one. Goodbye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.